here today for sharing your input. We are now, part of doing a survey is making sure that if you give the discernment committee your information and share with them, we need to share that back with you. So we're gonna go through these surveys and we're gonna keep it moving because we have a fair number of them. But to understand the variations in opinions that were shared here. So the first one we have is, grace facilitates us to serve the wider community in Christian love. What I see here is a whole lot of ones and twos, which if everybody got into Jen's strange brain last night, that means that there's a really strong level of agreement. Would anyone like to share why they ranked this so high? What is Grace doing that is so great to help facilitate you to serve the wider world, the parish and the wider world? Anyone want to share? We got one great. Now I'm curious.
I think gathering grace.
Gathering grace.
Is a shining example of that.
It is a shining example of how you serve the wider community in Christian love. Any other examples?
We have a morning prayer group where people can, it's on Zoom, so we have people coming from different places. We have someone in Tennessee, we have someone in California, so.
Yeah. You guys are showing that your Christian community isn't just in Muncie. You are part of this bigger, greater church and helping to serve their needs throughout. What a beautiful testament to the reach of grace. Yeah.
I shared something. I'm new and I don't know very many people, but I'm amazed at the number of people who have picked me up to bring me, to take me back home, and I can rely on them. I thank you for that.
How about that? That we are serving services for each other as well, like that we are serving people here. Joey or Joe? Joey, sorry, my apologies.
You're good. There's a Joe as well. Thinking a little bit outside of the box on that, if you pulled each person individually aside and said, what do you do for the community as an individual? I don't think we would have the bandwidth to do that if we weren't getting recharged here. So there's also that we're serving the wider community, even if the wider community doesn't know we attend here, because we use this as our charging station.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Did you want to add?
The community food bank uses our facility, once a month? Twice a month on Thursday.
Once a week,
Once a week.
plus
And the lady who runs that does not attend here, but if anybody asks her where's a good place to go to church, she said, go to Grace Church.
Come here.
We've done so much for them to bring in people from the community to take care of their food needs.
Wow.
That's not associated with gathering grace.
That's amazing. Yes, Connie.
We also provide once a month food bank at United Daycare through Second Congress.
Wow.
So if anybody would like to volunteer in January with me.
Looking for January volunteers.
Indoors this time.
Okay, moving on, just because we have a lot of ground to cover and there's so much good here. Grace facilitates us to serve one another in the spirit of Christian love. Once again, very strong on the strongly agree. There's a little bit more here in the agree, still net positive, but a little more variation. Anybody want to share why you marked the way you did here, whether it was wherever you were on it, or is it a lot of what we just covered? I think there's a lot of things about how the difference in the question, serving one another and serving the wider community. I think Joey hit on that really beautifully, that part of it serving yourselves equips you and prepares you to go out into the world. I think that's really beautiful. Any other comments, or should we move on?
I know, I recently,
That's gonna help it.
Okay.
Sorry,
Jen, are you okay?
I'm fine.
Good.
I just feel badly that I'm. Yeah. Okay. Okay, continue on.
I recently, fell and was injured, and like, surprise bread showed up at my door. Like, and you know, that was just beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
That you are being, this community is caring for each other in its service. That's awesome.
I would also add that for me, who was new a few years ago, the outreach of the Order of the Daughters of Faith.
Tell me more about that.
Well, they reached out to me, they told me a lot of stuff, and invited me to join the order. And then I learned how all of them are serving in many different ways. Not just congregation, but the community.
This ethos of service is really strong here. Yeah.
I would say the fact that as an international student who was new here, I've seen immense love from this congregation from the time I stepped here. Like the clothes I came in from home were not warm enough. What I thought was warm was not warm when I didn't went here. So members of this church helped me get warm clothes. And anytime they keep checking on us, how we're doing, and they're always ready to help. Everything when I was going home, after 1.5 years, to see my family, they prayed, and God opened ways. I was able to come with my kids, and I didn't have to struggle even going to the airport, being brought back from the airport to my apartment. The love I've experienced here,
Just embracing you and your family.
it's more than what
Yeah.
I'm experiencing.
And kids, have you had snow clothes to play in the snow this week? Yeah?
So
That's beautiful.
my kids feel comfortable, they feel at home, it's so amazing.
That's so great.
I agree to that.
Amen. Okay, I'm gonna try it again, because I know the acoustics would be better if I had this on. Okay, testing. Was not buzzing. Okay. Grace offers opportunities for Christian education and growth in addition to its weekly service. Now things are starting to get a little interesting. If people did the gradient scale correctly, with 1 being strongly agreed, it's pretty strong here around 5 in the disagree, and a couple people at 6. I would be interested in hearing people on kind of both, if anybody on either end of the spectrum, a 5 or 6 or a 1 or 2 would like to speak up. Joey?
Really, the only opportunities for education and growth outside of weekly worship that's currently available really only comes in the form of if you're in the Order of the Daughters of the King, or you're able to attend the weekly Lenten get-together that we do with other congregations in the area. There really is a desert regarding Christian formation and education, and has been for 10, 12 years.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
I would add, we have wonderful resources in the congregation to do that, but we haven't quite gotten to the people.
Okay.
But I don't want to give a shout out to Steve, Jim, who does Christian education this year. I don't know, I'm good with them, really appreciate it. But we need to make more systematic with what we do.
Right.
Help us do that.
There's another hand up. Yeah, Connie.
I would also like to thank Steve did, was on Mark. Last year, he did the Bible study. It was wonderful. And I really prayed to learn about the Bible because I wasn't raised in the church. So
I hear you. No.
Our Thursday service has been such an education for me, between Michael Hadley and Robert Wagner.
I can't hear what
I
they're
feel like
saying.
I get educated every week.
Can you summarize what's being said? We've got some hearing difficulties over here.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that the Thursday worship has been a good indicia of, like, there's been a lot of talent and formation coming through there and a hunger for it. And that's what I heard here as well, is that there's a lot of talent and expertise in the community that has just not been tapped. Does that feel like it summarizes what's just been said? Okay, you, sir.
I'm a university student, and I find getting to that Thursday meeting a little bit difficult with my schedule. And I'd also like to see just more Christian formation and education here, because that is something that I want to be involved in, right? But it's hard to access.
Yeah. Any other input? Oh, so there was a voice from a student who it was hard to get there on Thursdays and they would like to do more.
Unless I missed it, I don't think anyone else mentioned the Lenten series that we have with other Christian churches in the community.
So there's an ecumenical Lenten series? Okay. Is that what was the Mark series last year, or is this a different one?
That's different.
Okay. So there are some offerings, but I'm hearing a hunger for more, which might be why there's the diversity of it's recognizing there's some. Okay. Our next one is Grace's weekly worship service, which includes the Eucharist, sermon, and music, provides our parishioners with spiritual strength and renewal. Pretty strong, a whole lot. There's over like 8 to 9 on both 1 and 2, but then there's a smattering through. There's 4 people on 3, 1 on 4, 1 on 5. Would anyone like to share why they marked a 1 or 2, or why they might have been over there at a 4 or 5? This is about the worship service, provides parishioners with the strength and renewal to go into the following week. Joey?
I will say that I have, over the years, and to an extent agree, that there has been concern from certain parishioners, and it's a decent amount of them, regarding the lack of variety when it comes to worship style and music charism. And it's a lot of the same thing week after week after week, and it's like eating the same meal time after time after time, or it's not feeding them at all to begin with.
So here's a request. So Joey was saying that that she's hearing a Joey, my apologies. I am really sorry. Sorry about that. That he has been hearing that the service is very consistent without much variety, and that there's a hunger to have different liturgical styles and music and all that. Yeah.
I want to second particularly with music. I came from another congregation, and we had 3 sources of music.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the hymnal, but we had gospel music, I think it was. I can't remember what the third one was.
It's kind of the more evangelical, the there's lift every voice, and then
Yeah.
there's,
And then Wonder, Love, and Praise.
that's the one I was
And
thinking
then
of.
there's also Voices Found.
Well, those are the 3 that I really miss.
Okay. So there's a continued hunger, there's another voice for a hunger for more diversity in the music. Yes.
Yeah, when I first joined Grace, when I started to ask about the music, and I actually was kind of warned away from talking about the music because it had been a source of contention the last time we were looking for a pastor before I was here. apparently. And, you know, I personally didn't even know the other books existed until I was talking to some people I felt comfortable with, and they told me about them. And so, you know, some of those, when I got to them, I'm like, oh, I recognize some of this music, and I miss some of this music. But I haven't felt like it was something I could really talk about. Because I heard there was this big brouhaha, and I wasn't supposed to bring it up because it would cause dissension. I was told that, actually.
Music is a controversy.
Okay. So this idea that music has some historical roots of being a third rail that cannot be touched.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I'd like to say that I think it's good to defend our liturgy because it ties us to our past, to our wider church, both in the past and the future. But I think that you have to, you know, we're not just worshiping liturgy, right? We're worshiping throughout our lives. Having extra services or having extra liturgical services would be really good to sort of solve these issues, especially with the music problem, because certain canons, you know, what hymns and computers, there's liturgy, these kind of things. But that's not saying that you can go have an external worship group alongside liturgy. That you can
It was better for a while after I dropped it.
And you should drop it again.
No, I'm not going to do that. Yes.
I just think a lot of people here appreciate the integrity of the worship service. It's not music, it's also scripture readings, the whole thing. And we appreciate the integrity of that. That's why we get a lot of
Yeah. I think so. There have been two opinions here. One is that there's integrity in your worship service that holds it together, and so that's one side of this. Another was a suggestion that perhaps there can be additional services in which there can be more experimentation. So that's really interesting. I haven't done this one yet. Okay. So Grace's weekly worship service equips, empowers, and emboldens. That is really good alliteration there. Your discernment team came up with that. Our parishioners to proclaim through their words, deeds, and actions the good news of Jesus Christ in the parish and the world. This was strongly, it's 1 through 4, strongest on 1 and 3. So there's pretty net positive, but some diversity in the net positive. Anybody want to talk about why they voted the way they did? Yes, got there. Hi.
I didn't get to the.
Okay. I'll add you if you want. Tell me where you want to put your mark.
I wanted to give a shout out to our organ, Timothy, because he's so faithful. He's always prepared. He's one of the chaplain.
What's she saying?
And
She'll summarize.
there's a street about him that has become, he's not a little bubble figure. I'm glad that he's here. I've never seen anything before, and I assume that he will be. I tease him about that. But I'm blessed by his expertise. He's not flashy. He's humble, and I appreciate it.
What he does as an organist.
Thank you, Joey, for that summary. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Yeah,
One
Connie.
more thing about Tim, he does a lot for us behind the scenes. For instance, he's the reason why you all didn't have January 5th bulletins today, January 12th. I printed all the wrong ones. So he saves us a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, other feelings on how the Grace's weekly worship equips, empowers, and emboldens parishioners to proclaim the good news of Jesus? I think we hit on a lot of this through our previous discussions. Yes.
You know, I know we discuss music a lot, and I'm one of the boys, I drive 40 minutes because I want this kind of service. There are lots of what somebody I know used to call throw up music courses where you sing 69 verses of, I'm so glad, I. So to me, one of my values on what we choose, the liturgy and the music, is that the text is very biblical, is very God-oriented. And so I do know, I testify also, what comes to me is important. But I come to church so I can encounter God and take you with me. So why does it empower us to share? What are we sharing? Well, what I'm sharing is who God is, and why in times like these, even He's my hope, because I'm very frustrated with what's going on. I don't believe in God now. I don't know what I'd be doing, and I'm not quite sure how to make it through the next couple of years. But there's a way in which I feel we want to have diversity, but I don't want to lose that center in text, biblical text, strong theology, God-centered rather than me-centered. And I've heard enough of, I'm so glad what God does for me. And so many times, that's a distinction. Now, I like the Negro-spirituals, because there's a way in which they were survival in difficult times. I think we should think carefully about what it is. But I'd like to start not just with musical taste, but with what is the music conveying, and how is that helping us to engage God.
Thank you. I'm gonna get this a little bit wrong, so some guidance here. So what I am hearing is that the integrity of our music that fits with our liturgy, and that it is God-focused and ties to our readings, and that it has a focus on God and not on me, that, that helps to prepare to go out in the world and to do the work that God has sent us to do. That you come here and you encounter God, and that refreshes and restores you. Does that feel fair for the people online? Did that encapsulate at all what you were saying? Okay, good. Okay. Because there was a lot there, and it was beautifully said. So, okay.
I'm a preacher's kid. I grew up in the church. I'm 73 years old. When I started coming to Grace 8 years ago, I thought I knew hymns. I thought I knew. I used to be able to tell you what numbers the hymns were in the Methodist hymn. And the Methodist hymn was a pretty broad kind of thing with a lot of gospel music and earlier American stuff. But what I found here was, as Beulah said, a depth that I missed in 44 years of ministry in my own church. Was the depth of the texts and the music, and the poetry of the text was just very moving to me. I could find myself in tears sometimes singing a hymn that I didn't know, because it was very touching and touched in a depth that I didn't have before. And so I appreciate that about Grace and about the music and our worship here.
That was another perspective that the Episcopal hymnal gives a depth of music and richness that ties in the poetry that ties with the gospel readings and the work that we're doing. Okay, last one.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said, and I think that it would be important to look at that, whatever music we were using. I think that is very important, and that is something I also value. I like variety of music. I also would mourn not having somebody playing the organ, because that to me is, it speaks a lot to me, the music, and just, yeah, that type of style of music is very important to me too. So
we're going to talk a lot about Episcopal identity at our third session, but one of our big characteristics is the middle way, right? And as we're talking about this, I just don't want people to get into it's either the hymnal, the 1982 hymnal, or something else. That this is not a black-white. Whatever happens with your next rector, I just want people yeah, there's some different viewpoints on this, um, and it's not gonna be either extreme, like, you know, there's lots of ways to mix in other things, and I have no idea what's gonna happen, right? But just when people, there's gradients in the middle here. Okay, next one. Grace offers its parishioners opportunities for social interaction, fellowship, and establishing friendships with one another. It is, once again, net positive with a whole lot 1, 2, and 3, and a couple marks here in 4. Well, we get 3 people to share how they ended up where they are. Yes?
I've always found that offering a meal afterwards is a sign of a good church. I've been to a lot of churches that will just have coffee and that's it, right? And this doesn't really make people stick around. You can't really have conversations, right? But I think when we have this meal where we break bread together, I think that's great, right? This is something that's a mean great.
The center, that breaking bread is so important to creating relationship and building together. And breaking bread is at the center of our liturgy, right? Like, it's so important to what we do. Any other voices? Did anybody who was down here in the 3, 4 have any input that they're willing to share? And you don't have to.
Can you read it again, Janice?
Yeah, I can try this again. I mean, it seems to work for a little bit. Okay. Grace offers its parishioners opportunities for social interaction, fellowship, and establishing friendships with one another. Yes.
I think that kind of goes along with the education stuff too. Because if there were Sunday school classes, or if there were more opportunities to be together in that way, even in education form, that would foster fellowship and friendship as well.
Yeah. Okay. Woo, getting a little anemic. Okay. Grace effectively uses its parishioners' time, talent, and resources in promoting the good news of Jesus Christ. This is pretty evenly dispersed between 1 to 5, with a little heavier on 2. Anybody, I would love to hear from people kind of at both ends. If anybody, if we could get 2 or 3 voices who are willing to share why they voted the way they did. Yeah.
I think we've touched on some of that already. We talked about what a richness we have of people that could be asked to help with some of the formation, adult formation kind of things, and we haven't, I don't think that the parish effectively uses that.
Okay. Yeah, so there's talents that are being untapped. Joey?
Yeah, I think the reason why we see good spread is it depends on which topic of time, talent, and resource we're talking about. Like, we have a rich cadre of people able to come to the front and do a reading or prayers of the people. We have a good bevy of folks running the Zoom during service. However, there are other aspects of the parish, such as maybe there are resources and we haven't figured out how to tap them, or we need to try to find where we can cultivate, like with the formation, or working on the altar team, not just during service, but the setup and the tear down. There's other aspects of the life and the maintenance of the body of Christ, the physical corpus of this space, that is not fully seeing health and wholeness.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, at the risk of being the person who tells the emperor that he's not wearing any clothes, generally the people who are complaining about this aren't doing anything about it.
Yes, agreed.
That if they want that, then they need to step up to the vestry and say, I'd like this. And we would do our best. I'm a member of the vestry, and that's why I put my mark on 2, because I think that one group, at least, does their best to try and receive the congregation and accommodate things. But we get a lot of complaints behind the screen, and the people who are complaining aren't stepping up and saying, well, I think there is a deficit here and I'd be willing to help. They just want to complain about it. So there.
I am going to warn you now that at our third Holy Conversation, we are going to imagine the future. And there is a part in the form that you will fill out that says it is one thing to imagine it, but things don't come into being unless you do something about it. And so it asks for a tangible thing you'd be willing to do to make your dream a reality. And we'll cover that more in a couple weeks, but there's that piece to it of it's one thing to want it, but unless you're willing to put money or time or expertise to help it into fruition, dreams will just stay dreams. So, and complaints will just be words, right? So, anything else that people want to talk about the stewardship of your time, talent, and treasure that you bring? Yes?
I think the other side of that, David, and I agree with you, is that we need to create an atmosphere where people feel what I offer will be valued and someone will accept it. You know, because I know I had one situation where I felt, well, what I have to offer and what I value is not really what that person wants. So I shut up. So we need to create an environment, a context, whereby we allow different kinds of things to be able to happen in different places. We need to be respectful to people's volunteering.
Yeah. Yes, last one.
This is a somewhat different matter. When I first came to Grace, we were drawing down and not running a balanced budget. That has turned around in the last few years. Thanks be to God.
Thanks be to God. Last one.
Just one other comment, and I don't know the solution answer to this, but I'm wondering if some of the electeds get involved in stuff like, it's always hard. Unless you have a key, you get that, or you know that someone is I don't know, again, what the answer to that is, but, you know, there are some urban churches that you just walk in anytime, you know, meditate or be there, or water the plants, or do something.
I hate to do this. We are way over time, so, and I really want to get to the next thing that we're supposed to do. So hopefully there will be more opportunities to share, and that this is just the beginning of these conversations. Okay, I'm gonna try it again. Wish me luck. Good luck. Grace is inclusive to newcomers and longtime members in its activities, programming, operations, and governance, regardless of race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, education, income, political affiliation, or other characteristics. And we are very net positive. Just to keep us moving along, and if people want to do something, what I get from this is you guys are on the right track, that this is not, but there might be a little work to be done, and there's always work to be done on how we include others. Anybody want to add anything to that, or is that a good summary? Is that a good assessment, deduction? Okay. Last one. Lost my tape. Okay. Grace is welcoming to newcomers and longtime members, including race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, education, income, political affiliations, or other characteristics. This is very strongly on the one, but there are there's 4 people in 3 and 1 person in 4. Why do you think there's a little difference on this one compared to the one before?
I don't understand the difference.
Maybe a person on the discernment committee. So the first one, inclusive to newcomers and welcoming to newcomers.
One
both
has to
programs.
do with activities, programming, and governance, the other is in general.
Just generally welcoming. Yes.
Well, and there's a difference between welcoming people and then making them part of the community. Like, you're okay to be here, and then is welcoming, you're okay to be actively involved in our church is a different thing. Because I know especially with gender identity, sexual orientation, that's a big issue with other churches. Whereas they'll say you're welcome, but you aren't allowed to do the readings, you aren't allowed to be active in
You aren't allowed to become a pastor.
you can't be active in the vestry, things like that.
Yeah.
You can't have a role, so.
Joey.
This building is not handicap accessible.
Ooh.
Yes, it is.
Doors don't have the doors, there's no door with a button.
We were told that there's a grant coming about.
Sweet,
So
beauty.
we
Good,
are aware of that, our bathrooms, same way.
good problem.
Back there. Yay.
And she goes to the Friends Church, and she's been regular about that, she's usually with the coffee hour and the services. But I think it's because it's welcoming, okay? The reason that we do more often is we still are Libertarian, we don't feel guilty for this group. But it's been welcoming to me, as a Methodist transplant, I do think that as news gets out, that people of the sexual orientation, political organizations, as the news gets out that we're here, then I think you'll see more people come. I just think that in that particular community, they've been so rejected that.
That's what she said. They need more outreach. That's what she said.
I think if we can relate the news gets out, we can tell other people about the most recent controversy in the Methodist Church. That's why I stopped going. I said I can drag him all over town, but we have a church that's stable, and well, I noticed the division in parts of the areas of the church. I really feel like this is a unified, safe place to be.
Lovely. That's a great place to end on this exercise. Thank you. So this was a really fruitful conversation. So we went way over time on that. So I want to survey the group. I was planning to have us out the door at 12:30. The next exercise, we could do it. It would be pretty tight on time. Are people okay if we extend to about 12:45 or? So we have a vote. Do we kind of push it and get out of here at 12:30, or do we give a little more time and air and sunshine to the process and go to 12:45? Those in favor of 12:30, raise your hands. 12:45. Okay, we're gonna aim for 12:35. Okay. First of all, can I have members of the discernment committee raise your hands? Okay. Members of the vestry, raise your hands. Okay, I'm gonna ask well, it might be hard for you to, it would be great, we need a member of the vestry. Could you guys come over here to this table? Okay. We need a vestry member, a discernment committee member at each table. And remind me next time, I want the discernment committee members next time to go around and to say why they said yes to serving. But we're gonna skip that today. We're gonna do it next time. So what you have, there are handouts on your table. If you don't have a handout, raise your hand.
I got it,
Everybody have one?
yeah. Line it.
Okay. Okay. lessons are taught to us through stories. We live in stories. We are going to ask you to share stories today. And the story that we're going to ask is that for you to share a story about something that has happened in your congregation or with people from this congregation that has made a difference in your life. What happened? How were you involved? How did you contribute? How did that matter in your life? What in the lives of the people around you? And then, so here's my example. Okay, it's bad over here. Nope. Okay. Guys, I'm really sorry. Okay. I was talking with a friend of mine who goes to my parish, and we were at dinner last night, and she was asking, my parish is also in transition, and so they had a conversation last week, but, and so we were talking about it, and I was talking about you guys, and we were just thinking, she was my roommate when we went on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, and I love Wendy. I am not sure that I ever would have gotten to know her had we not been roommates in the Holy Land. Like what you were saying, that it is through formation and through these life experiences that you get to know people. But I think about the fruits of that friendship. As many of you know, I've had some pretty major health issues over the last 5 years, and she's the friend who didn't just say, hey, what can I do for you? She would show up at my door 2 to 3 times a week and make me go walk with her, right? That, you know, those early days where post-surgery, it's so important to get up and get moving. And she had a broken foot at the time, and so she would hobble along, and I had abdominal, and I would, and we would walk a block or whatever, but she's the friend who shows up. And she is snarky, and she, will send me texts. I probably have on my phone right now about how long announcements went at Trinity today, and she'll be like, but that, the warmth and the strength of that friendship and how she has been, you guys were talking about how you guys care for each other. She has been that person. But it was through that pilgrimage that friendship became deep. So that's my story, right? Wendy and I went to the Holy Land with people from Trinity. From that, we need to pull out the values, right? So from my story, what qualities and characteristics come out from that? One, I get having deep interaction with the text of our Bible, right? Like we were in the Holy Land, in this holy place, that through that interaction came meaning and friendship and depth of relationship. There's also friendship. There is being the hands and feet in Christ, right? That she walked with me and cared for me, and that doing as Christ taught us to care for each other. I hope I do something for her too, but I think I do. But she, those would be, so there's the friendship, there's the serving each other, there is the deep interaction with the Gospels that kind of underlie that. So in your small groups, I want you first to take a couple minutes, think of your own story, jot a couple notes, share with your table as you're comfortable, and everybody's stories are their own, we don't share each other's stories, but and then, share what you're comfortable, and then pull out those qualities. When we talk back as a group here at 25 after, what I want shared are not the stories. We're gonna share the values and the characteristics that come from these stories. Does that make sense? Yeah, do you guys wanna come join this group? So with that, while we get rearranged here, everybody else can start the activity, but we'll get back together at 25 after. Yes? You're gonna report out the values and the characteristics. Yes, we would like for people to turn in their papers.
So whatever they jot down.
Yeah, that the best remember of the sermon team members, if they could plug those at the end. Yeah, yeah. So,
I got stuff on the front.
do you guys wanna move here?
I mean, about
Or here?
myself.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. 'Cause that's what it's for. I'm just making sure that
Yeah,
there's a gather them. He's got one.
I got a pen.
Here.
Yeah.
So, are you guys comfortable if we turn this around so Karen can see us and she can be part of our table? Okay. And I'm gonna unmute you, Karen. So
Okay, is that,
unmute the computer.
which way do I need to go?
Karen's waving, everybody.
Well, Karen, you can't see me, but I'm here.
Hi, Karen.
Karen, this is the question. Essentially, she summed it up really well. So, what is an experience that you really remember? I could read it. It says, consider a story about something that happened in your congregation or with people from this parish that made a difference in your life. What happened? How were you involved? And how did you contribute to this event? How did that matter in your life and in the lives of the people around you? In the space below, write down notes to yourself that help you recall the story as fully as you're able. And then the question below that is, as you reflect on your story, what qualities stand out to you? Did you experience things like grace, hospitality, understanding, curiosity, mystery, beauty, belonging, or humor? Why is that important to you in that moment? So that's what we're going to be sharing about. So we're going to take our notes now. I'm going to take my notes.
Oh, I've already got my
You
notes.
got yours?
Yeah.
Well, Lou, do you want to go ahead?
Want me to tell you about me?
Yeah, sure.
Well, my first note was like 8 years ago, I was in the hospital for 22 days. So I had a lot of church members come and visit, and the priest, whoever the priest was 8 years ago, I don't know who that was. We've had so many of them here. But, and then when I came home from the hospital, then, people would bring over food and stuff like that. So that was one thing I said on here. And the other thing I mentioned about the church is that I've been in the choir, I've been a Eucharistic minister, and I've gone to the diocesan conventions, and so that's really had an important effect on my whole life. Does that sound okay?
Oh, yeah. That's cool. So what types of, when you think about it, what qualities stand out to you about it? What was it that you got out of that?
Well, number one would be the experience of other church members helping and sharing out in my life, as far as when I was in the hospital and fixing food and things like that, since my wife was at the hospital all the time with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just sharing and prayers. Also prayers from the people in the church for my rehabilitation. Does that sound okay?
Oh, yeah. All input is okay here.
Yeah, anything.
It's a safe space.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else ready to share?
When Father Paul was his first time going to the Indy Pride Parade, I know it was a big ask of him, for him to make that decision, because he's a very introverted person. He wanted to be in the crowd, not the focus of the crowd.
Right.
And for years, folks in my household had been the only, including myself, had been the only people from Grace in the diocesan contingents. And to have another person not affiliated with my household in that contingent, that even though people knew about it, no one was coming.
Yeah.
To know that someone else was willing to make the schlep, to be in that, to be the face of the diocese, especially when there is so much presence inside the 465 in that, to have people from not inside, because everyone
Right.
goes to that parade, it's not just Indianapolis people.
Right.
So it was, while there is grace and hospitality there, I think also we're missing a couple of words in that list. And like I get that feeling, grace, hospitality, understanding, curiosity, mystery, beauty, belonging, or humor are very much identifiable charisms of a Christian community. Some of the newer, I feel, and originally overlooked charisms are things like advocacy and solidarity, that shouldering of the burden, that you're not going to sit here alone in your sackcloth, scratching your butt with a potsherd. Yeah, I'm making a Job reference. That we're along for the ride. That even while Father Paul is part of that group, even if we had someone who's in the congregation just showing up as a straight ally, that would be, huge. The fact that it wasn't just me being the loudmouth schnook that I'm known for being.
Okay, cool, cool. Okay. How about you, Judy?
Well, my notes are the outreach that many of the women, well, and Father Paul, when I first moved here, Karen Sullivan, Joanne Beckley, you, Joey, Connie and Joe, Gathering Grace, very much impressed me. Because I wanted to be, even though my body doesn't allow me to be physically involved, I wanted to be involved in a congregation that was reaching out. And so then I wrote hospitality, acceptance. It was a new move to Muncie. So that's about as far as I got.
No, it's a good start.
Yeah.
Solid offering.
Okay. And I really think about, and some people, if you were around last year when I wrote something about this, when we were doing the push for our tithing stuff.
The stewardship stuff.
Stewardship, thank you. That's the word that didn't want to come into my mind. I wrote about this the Maundy Thursday. When I first started going to Grace, it was only on Zoom, and it felt welcoming, it felt neat, but I was like, it was the first experience I really had going to a different church community than the one I grew up in, and so it was anxiety making for me as an introvert, which people are surprised I'm an introvert, but I am by nature, or maybe by trauma, I don't know. But
you play a good extrovert on TV.
I play a good extrovert on TV, yes. But when Maundy Thursday came up, I'd only been going to the online Zoom for maybe a month and a half or so, and I was reached out to and specifically asked, was it okay to bring a hot cross bun and deliver it to my house so that I could be involved in that, because the Maundy Thursday thing, everyone kind of shared that, so I guess it was its own fellowship, but on Zoom. And the fact that I was reached out to and made a part of that really helped me realize how welcoming and the community was of me, and that I was considered one of them. I wasn't just somebody who happens to be coming on Zoom, but isn't really part of things, and that made a big difference for me. I was noticed and acknowledged, so that was nice. So I would say that was acceptance and just being welcomed in. So Karen, what do you have?
For me? Can you hear me?
Barely.
Turning you up a little more. Go ahead, try again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, better.
We can hear you better.
Yeah, I'm pushing my voice to my computer. I think the biggest effect that I had, there was a woman named Elizabeth Manette, and I went to a daughter's retreat, and when my brother died, there. When I became president of the diocese, she was very helpful and very understanding. But the way it links back to Grace, did not leave me alone. She'd come up to me almost twice a year and say, "You've got to be a daughter." And so it was Grace Church's after I found I found some real help. I've always felt very welcome in the Episcopal Church, no matter where I've gone. But
Okay, cool. Thank you, Karen.
thank
Does
you.
anyone have anything else they want to share about? I know for me, I'm part of my coming to grace was also my being more open about my sexual orientation, and so seeing that people were going to the parade down in Indy, and then getting to be a part of what happens here in Muncie, and getting to be at a table where I could actually share about the fact that our parish is welcoming and inclusive. Meant a lot to me to be able to be a part of that. It highlighted for me that I was accepted and included. So just the mere fact that there was a table made a difference for me. So I know this year I had recently come out of, when we were having the Muncie event, I had recently come out of being in surgery, or I knew I was going to be, and I had said I'd be willing to work the table, but I didn't know if I'd be able to carry things, or was
the lead up to
but
surgery,
yeah, but unfortunately, there wasn't anyone that could do the setup or tear down. So I did miss that. So I'm hoping that maybe, I think it was more of a maybe reaching out to the wider community that didn't happen then.
And then we also had the
I think it could
logistical
have.
issue with Juneteenth that was similar issues with
Yeah,
Juneteenth with
Juneteenth was a
logistics.
similar thing. Yeah. So.
It was all good.
Anything else anyone else want to share?
Well, I think the inclusiveness that you're talking about was another draw for me because I came from a congregation that was very inclusive. So I was excited about that too. And I started on Zoom
Right.
because of my not having much defense against germs. So I just kind of eased in.
When I began having the struggles I've been having, I actually, I took a moment to weigh, is this going to be a place that will be safe for me to do this, or do I need to do it outside of the community? And the fact that I'm still here. I mean, yeah, there are other battles that we are struggling to learn and grow as people, but we always are going to. But at least I think there's a greater majority where we sort of got this in a sense.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the microphone around now.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Okay, is it centered? Is it? And maybe it should be on the board.
We can see it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. All right. Everybody have pretty much enough time? Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the table in the very back. Max, what values did your table come up with that that came through from the stories you shared?
People appreciate the hospitality, feeling of belonging in the congregation.
Okay. I heard hospitality. Is there more? Loud.
Belonging.
Belonging.
Right. Was commented that when the table had surgery down in Newcastle on the knee or something, came down and brought community, which was very much appreciated, even though it was outside the community.
So pastoral care.
Pastoral care, he was rather private, but yet he had a very personal care of people also, as necessary.
Guys, from the group, does this capture it? Hospitality, belonging, pastoral care? Acceptance, thank you.
I know we didn't get into discussing everything, but I appreciate the volunteers we have from the congregation. Last Sunday, our priest canceled at 7:00 in the morning, and Steve Olson came forward, and Mike Ashley, and we had a very, very nice service and a tremendous sermon with no preparation, basically. So we were very blessed. We are very blessed with the people we have within the congregation. The people that Barb and Phil Wilson were two of the major people that started Gathering Grace. Connie and Joe taking it over as Phil and Barb bowed out of it partially. So we have very talented people, and Andy with the Thursday, or with the morning prayer service online, whatever. We have volunteers who are very talented and very much appreciated.
Max, one of the things that I'm hearing in that is that there's also this collaboration, that it's not that somebody has their own fiefdom, that there is a, you've got each other's backs piece of it.
There's a network.
A network.
It becomes a network, hopefully, yes.
I also hear a can-do attitude, right? Like, no priest, no problem, we got this.
Resiliency.
Just step in and make it happen.
Yeah, so can I put resiliency down? Okay.
Our table said something that kind of went along with, we talked about dependability.
Yeah.
And I think that goes along with what you're already saying.
And then put it down here. So since we started with this table up front, honey, no, wait, one thing I want to tell you is, don't just say, oh, we covered most of the stuff that they have. I'm gonna put check marks, and each table gets a different color. So even though it might be duplicative, it's important to share that because we get kind of a heat map of this thing came up a lot. So don't just skip over like, oh, they said the other things. Tell me the other things.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, dependable.
Okay.
Helpful. Loving. Family-like. Supportive. Accepting. Is there anything else? Did I hit it all you said?
Yeah? Table, you're good? Awesome.
Oh, brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yes, Connie, you're brilliant. Yes.
Nice. Okay. This table.
Sure. Some of the things that we said, well, we have pastoral care.
Okay.
Advocacy. And because, well, pastoral advocacy and solidarity kind of came out of, like when Father went, and other people, you know, when people went to support Pride stuff and that kind of thing, there was that sense of, you know, pastoral care because Father came and did it and showing, hey, you know, this is something that is part of the values. So that was really neat. The helpful, and then we also had one of the things was praying with people. So like praying with others, you know, praying together. I'm not sure how to mark that as about how the best wording. Prayer. Perfect. Okay. And then sharing. There was that acceptance. I know I mentioned when I was new to the parish and I was able to, people, they brought the Monday, Thursday hot cross bun to my house. I was like, wow. Another thing for me, it was like being seen. So like when I'm not here, people say, hey, how are you? I got some texts recently when I wasn't able to be here, and more than one Sunday in a row, that's a big deal. People were checking on me, so that was nice. I was missed.
Yeah.
And we got, multiples of us said the acceptance, and, let's see, people bringing food, so, we also had the supportive, because we had people bringing food, like when we had surgeries, that kind of thing. So it was really, so hospitality was probably, I would say, is part of that too.
I'm gonna add care for each other, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
There also was a sense that, that volunteer and networking also leads into the pastoral care. They kind of hold hands, because also in that resiliency, self-sufficiency thing, we're not just leaning on priest or hierarchy to get their hands dirty to take care of people. We're taking care of each other ourselves.
Can I add lay-led?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if welcoming would be part of hospitality, but very welcoming. That came up pretty much with most of us that were at this table. Is there anything I missed, folks?
No.
Yeah.
It almost seems to me like this encapsulates into the Hindi word namaste. There's this sense that the divine in each of us is finding the divine in each other. We're seeing that God image in each of us that was instilled when creation got created.
Nice, okay. Does Joey, does that work? Divine in each of us is divine in others. Okay. This group, do you want blue or teal? Let's go with blue, or lime green.
Yeah, welcoming, people give rides, bicycles, stuff like that, to help people get there and then incorporated people in it. Hospitality, not just within ourselves, but also just the mass number of people that find hospitality here in Gathering Grace. Worship, our worship is strong and it's a center point of our life with divine beauty and mystery. And family, yeah, we're like a family. Anybody else want to add other stuff from my standpoint? Supportive, yeah.
Supportive.
Yeah, the space, the space, the beauty of our space, the beauty of our worship facility.
Nice. That table, that covers it? Anything else that wasn't missed? Okay. Last group, you guys get lime green. Does that sound good? Or do you want red? Lime green it is. Okay.
Okay, overlaps, sharing, belonging, accepted, specifically validates the way we define family. So,
Acceptance. Acceptance is on there.
pastoral care, a specific one that came out through confirmation class, permission to doubt and question. The opposite of faith is not doubt, but certainty.
Have I taken all the check marks? Belonging, pastoral care, acceptance, sharing, family. Family life. There we go. Okay. Did I get everyone? Now, here's my question. What? Trust. Anything else from that group? Does that feel good? Okay. So we are at 1 minute over, but my question to everyone is, does this feel like grace?
Yes.
What I love about this exercise is that I do it with parishes across the diocese, and this is, there's overlaps, but the total picture is totally you. It's not that other church down the road. It's not St. John's or St. Christopher's or St. James. Like, it's you. Like, this is, do you think, taking a big look over it, is there anything we're missing here that you feel is core to who Grace is?
I think you could put in Daughters of the King.
Okay.
I think our all of our groups do different things, so I'm not sure that Daughters of the King
Yeah.
needs to be highlighted.
Small groups.
Because we're talking about values here.
I think, yeah.
That's a noun, not a
Like,
value.
different groups do different things,
Yeah.
and everybody is needed.
Good point.
We'll find our own niches and communities.
That's true. But it doesn't feel like a clique.
No, not, there's a difference between niche and clique, yes.
I think of us as being talented and resourceful.
Ah, look at this sound by brilliant.
Talented and resourceful.
We did have self-sufficiency that I didn't actually mention, that was on one of our papers. That we, like, trust on, you know, like we lean on each other. But
Like you said, no priest, no problem.
Yeah, that's
the language stuff. I
The
guess that is-
resourceful.
And going to that point about being able to question and doubt, there's this desire to learn and grow, and almost in some instances, a willingness to face the discomfort of that mystery space.
Okay. Anything else? Guys, this is my favorite day to be with you all. I fell in love with you guys today, right? Like, to hear these stories and to hear what draws you here and why you are at Grace and not at the beloved Lutheran Church or Methodist or Presbyterian or Catholic or Jewish synagogue down the road. What brings you to Grace? And I feel like I got a sense of that today. So thank you for sharing with me and for setting the groundwork to share with the world about who you are, and as we do the work to find the priest who will help you to become even better and more of who you are as you live into God's worldview. So with that, let's do a quick concluding prayer, and then we will go on our way. The Lord be with you. And also with you. Good and gracious God, thank you for bringing us together today, for the warm hospitality, and for the love and faithfulness of this community. Be with people as they drive home, and do the good work you have set out for us to do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. I was 5 minutes over.
I have an announcement. Second Harvest has gifted us with a large amount of limes and beers. So you can go home and make a cocktail with lime and beer.
I'm gonna be getting sauces from avocados and making guac.
I can't know what you're saying.
To stay for study
So I'm like, okay.